You did not notice it happening. You were on the phone, half listening. Your baby balanced on your hip when your voice shifted. Nothing dramatic, just a little tighter, a little faster. The person on the other end said something that landed wrong, and your body knew before your mind caught up, jaw set, shoulders forward. Your baby, who had been watching the light moving across the wall, turned and looked directly at your face. They did not cry, they just looked. And then they did something researchers have spent decades trying to explain. They stored it. What they stored was not the phone call or the kitchen, your face. The specific arrangement of it in that moment, mapped against every piece of sensory information they could take in at once. The tension in the arm holding them, the changed rhythm of your breathing, the temperature of your skin pressed against theirs. Filed, kept. Babies are not passive witnesses to their early lives. They are recording. If this is already making you see your baby differently, hit the like button and subscribe, it really helps. And drop a comment telling me how old your little one is right now. I love knowing who I'm talking to. Infant memory does not work the way adult memory does. There is no mental filing cabinet where events are stored as retrievable episodes. It is more physical than that, more felt. Developmental researchers call it implicit memory, and what it captures is not events, it captures patterns. The felt sense of what the world does, and what it is likely to do next. By 3 months, a baby has already begun building what psychologists call an internal working model, a set of predictions assembled from every experience since birth. Will the person who holds me come when I need them? Will calm follow distress? Do the signals I send produce a response? Every ordinary moment in the first 2 years feeds data into that model. Once built, it becomes the lens through which the child reads every relationship they will ever have. A landmark study from the University of Minnesota tracked children from infancy into early adulthood and found that those whose early implicit memories were organized around consistent, responsive caregiving showed measurably higher emotional regulation, social competence, and resilience at ages 10, 16, and 26. The memories were never retrievable as stories. They were stored as expectations. And expectations shape behavior in ways that remembered stories never do. What follows are 5 things your baby is storing right now. Not in dramatic moments. In the background. In the ordinary ones you are least likely to think they are paying attention to. They are storing them in the texture of your voice when you answer a call. In the speed of your arrival when they need you. In everything that happens in the seconds after something goes wrong. They are always paying attention. The first thing your baby remembers is the emotional state behind the face you show them most. In 1978, developmental psychologist Edward Tronick ran what has since become one of the most replicated experiments in infant research. A mother interacted normally with her baby, responding to cues, matching expressions. Then she was instructed to go blank. No response, no movement, nothing. Within seconds, babies who had been alert and engaged began showing distress. They reached out, looked away, and tried again. When the still face continued, they collapsed inward. The stress response was immediate, measurable, and visible to everyone in the room. What the years of follow-up research established was not simply that babies need a responsive face, they are calibrating off it. Your face is the instrument your baby is using to read whether the world is safe, and they are not reading it during the moments you are consciously present for them. They are reading it at 3 a.m., during the feed where your mind has drifted somewhere else. They are reading it in the 2 seconds after they cry, while they wait to see what your expression will do. What gets stored is the pattern. How often did calm follow the distress? How reliably did that face turn back toward them? A baby whose implicit memory is organized around a consistently responsive face does not just feel safer in the moment. They build a nervous system that expects the world to respond to them. That expectation travels into every classroom, every friendship, every relationship they will ever have. The second thing your baby remembers is your voice. Specifically, the version of it they learned before they were born. By the 3rd trimester, a fetus has been processing sound for weeks. The mother's voice arrives differently from any other sound in the world, carried through bone and tissue rather than air alone, familiar in a way nothing outside the body has had time to become. By the time of birth, it has already been heard for months. Researchers at the University of North Carolina found that within hours of birth, newborns already show a measurable preference for their mother's voice over the voice of any unfamiliar woman. Heart rate, sucking patterns, the orientation of their gaze, all of it shifts in response to that specific voice in ways that tell researchers the nervous system has already categorized it as known, as safe. The memory has no image attached to it, no retrievable scene. But the biological recognition is real. It means that the first time your baby heard your voice in the delivery room, they were not hearing you for the first time. They were placing something they had been carrying for months, The third thing your baby remembers is how you reacted when something uncertain happened in front of them. Developmental psychologists call this social referencing, and it is one of the most studied phenomena in infant cognition. Starting around 8 to 10 months, when a baby encounters something unfamiliar or ambiguous, they do not decide how to feel about it on their own. They look at you first. Your face provides the verdict. Research at the University of Colorado found that infants placed at the edge of a visual cliff, a glass surface with an apparent drop visible underneath, crossed it willingly when their mother's face showed calm and refused it entirely when she showed fear. The baby's behavior was determined not by the drop, but by the reading of your face. What this means for memory is that the event and your reaction are stored together. A baby who watches a parent become visibly tense around a particular person, a sibling, a neighbor, someone at a family gathering, will often carry a weariness about that person long after the original moment has passed. They are not being difficult, they are using the information you gave them. The register you held around that person became the register your baby filed under their name. The fourth thing your baby remembers is your smell. This is the oldest memory system in the brain. The olfactory cortex, the region that processes smell, connects directly to the amygdala and the hippocampus, two structures central to emotional memory and threat detection, without the relay stations that other senses pass through first. Smell bypasses the usual route, it lands differently. Researchers in Sweden studying neonatal olfaction found that newborns can distinguish their mother's breast milk by scent alone within the first days of life. By 2 weeks, babies orient toward the smell of the person who holds them most, even when that person is not in view. By 6 weeks, the presence of the primary caregiver's scent produces measurable reductions in cortisol during moments of distress. The smell is not comfort in a metaphorical sense. It is producing a real hormonal response. The cortisol drops, the nervous system settles. The body recognizes who is there before the eyes confirm it. What this means is that your smell is not background information to your baby. It is regulatory, one of the first external signals the infant nervous system learns to use to determine whether the environment is safe. The parent who holds a distressed baby is not only providing warmth and pressure, they are delivering a scent signal the baby's brain has already learned to associate with the absence of danger, and that signal lands before anything else has time to. If you're finding this helpful, please subscribe and turn on notifications. I upload new videos every week, and I'd hate for you to miss one. Your support is what makes this channel possible, and it genuinely means the world to me. The fifth thing your baby remembers is the cry that did not bring you back. This is the hardest one to hear, and it is also the most important. Babies experience distress as a real physiological event. Cortisol rises, heart rate climbs. The system designed to close the distance between the infant and the caregiver activates every signal available to it. The cry is a distress flare, and the response to that flare, or the absence of one, is stored as information about what the world does when the baby is in need. Researchers at the University of Minnesota studying infant cortisol responses found that babies whose cries were consistently met within a reasonable window developed lower baseline cortisol levels over time. Their bodies had learned that distress would resolve. Babies whose cries were frequently met with silence or extended delay showed elevated baseline cortisol that persisted beyond the immediate situation. The body was learning something. Not that the parent did not love them, that the world could not always be counted on. This is not an argument against every form of sleep training. The research is clear that babies tolerate some delay without lasting effect, particularly within an otherwise responsive relationship. What it speaks to is the cumulative pattern. Whether the nervous system learned that signals bring responses, or learned to send signals into silence and wait. There is a moment most parents have had and never quite found words for. Your baby is across the room. Their face begins to crumple. Their eyes find yours before the sound even starts, watching, reading, waiting to see what your face will do first. In the 2 seconds before you move, everything they have ever stored about what happens next is active. The look they give you in that gap is not only distress, it is a question. And they already have some data on the answer. This is not a reason to be afraid of every moment you were slow. Every parent was slow sometimes. There were days you were on a call that could not wait, nights where you heard them and lay there for a moment, just a moment, needing one more breath before you could get up again. The research on early memory is not a list of your failures. What it is saying is that your baby is assembling a picture of the world from you, one unremarkable moment at a time, and that picture is more detailed and more durable than most parents are ever told. Research from Harvard's Center on the Developing Child has established that serve and return interactions, the cycle of a baby sending a signal and a caregiver responding to it specifically, are the most important driver of healthy brain architecture in the first 3 years of life. More than enrichment activities, more than structured learning or early stimulation, the responsiveness, the noticing, the simple act of coming back. Presence matters more to your baby than perfection. What a brain built on the experience of being responded to goes on to do is specific. The child who grew up with a caregiver who came reliably tends to develop what researchers call a secure internal working model, a baseline expectation that relationships are safe, that other people can be trusted, that distress is something that resolves rather than something to manage entirely alone. That expectation does not stay in infancy. It walks with the child into every classroom, every friendship, every room they enter where they have to decide whether to reach out or stay closed. A securely attached child at age 6 takes more social risks. They recover from conflict faster. They can be comforted by people other than their primary caregiver because they learned early that comfort was something the world was willing to offer. By adolescence, the research shows they are more likely to talk to a parent when something goes wrong, not because they were lectured to, but because they grew up in a body that expected adults to respond. The architecture was built before they could name any of it. You do not remember your earliest years. Most people do not, but the body does. The way you feel when someone does not answer a message you needed answered, when a room goes quiet in a way that feels wrong, when someone you care about looks past you rather than at you and you feel for just a second like you have disappeared. Those reactions were not learned in adulthood. They were encoded in the first years of life, in the moments your nervous system was deciding what the world was going to be like. Your baby is making those decisions right now. Every feed, every waking, every moment you put the phone down and turn toward them. Every time your voice comes from the other room and they hear it before they see you. Every morning when they look up from wherever they are and find your face, and your face is glad to see them. They are not forming memories they can ever tell you about. They are forming the architecture of everything that comes after. The phone will ring again. You will be distracted again. You will be slow sometimes and overstretched often, and there will be days where you give them less than you wanted to. None of that undoes this. What matters, what the research keeps returning to across every longitudinal study and every developmental window, is the pattern, the overall weight of it. Whether on balance this baby learned that the world responds, whether the data they collected from you across thousands of ordinary moments added up to something they could build on. It almost always does. And the fact that you are here trying to understand what your baby is actually storing, what they are actually seeing when they look at you, what they actually need from the moments you share, that is not a small thing. That is the whole thing. Thank you so much for being here until the very end. It means everything. If this video changed how you see your baby even a little, please share it with another parent who needs to hear it. Check out the videos on your screen now. I think you'll love them. And subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.